John Harrison was not supposed to die the way he did. In Willow Creek, he was known as a respected businessman, a pillar of the community, a man whose name carried weight. He owned properties, attended charity events, and projected the image of a man who had everything under control. But behind the polished exterior of his suburban home, something was rotting, and when it finally exploded, it left a trail of lies, betrayal, and blood that would tear multiple lives apart. John Harrison was found dead in his own living room, and almost immediately, all eyes turned to his wife. Emily Harrison was stunning, composed, and well-spoken. In her mid-30s, she had a way of commanding attention without saying much at all. To outsiders, she was a devoted wife. To investigators, she was the center of a rapidly growing storm. The night John died, screams shattered the silence of the neighborhood. Neighbors would later say they had never heard anything like it. Raw, desperate, unfiltered terror echoing into the darkness. When first responders arrived at the Harrison residence, they were met with chaos. Furniture was overturned. The room looked like a violent argument had erupted and never cooled down. John's body lay motionless on the floor. Emily was hysterical. Her clothes were stained. Her hand shook violently as she clutched a framed photo of her and John, rocking back and forth as if the image itself could ground her in reality. She repeated the same sentence over and over. I found him like this. I didn't know what to do. But even in her breakdown, something felt off. Officer Daniels, first on scene, noticed it immediately. Emily was distraught, but not disoriented. Emotional, but precise. Her words sounded practiced, almost rehearsed. It was grief that knew when to pause. Detective Sarah Miller arrived minutes later. She took in the scene slowly, methodically. No forced entry. No sign of a stranger breaking in. Whatever happened inside the house didn't begin with violence. It escalated into it. John hadn't been surprised by an intruder. He had been confronted by someone he knew, someone he trusted. As forensic teams worked, Miller pulled Emily aside. Emily described her day in careful detail, claiming she had been out shopping before returning home to discover her husband's body. But her story had cracks, small ones, subtle ones. Times didn't line up, details shifted, and she avoided eye contact at key moments. Meanwhile, Detective Tom Reynolds was canvassing the neighborhood. Several neighbors reported hearing raised voices earlier that evening. A heated argument. More than one person inside the house. No one could identify the second voice. But they all agreed on one thing. John Harrison had not been alone before he died. The investigation intensified quickly. John had left work earlier than usual that day. His assistant described him as distracted, tense, like a man bracing for something he didn't want to face. Emily claimed she was at the mall, but security footage couldn't confirm it. And then there was her phone. Emily checked it constantly during questioning. Not casually, nervously, like she was waiting for something, or someone. As detectives peeled back layers of John's life, more complications surfaced. John's younger brother, David Harrison, had been arguing with him days before the murder. Money, control, dependency. David had lived in John's shadow for years, financially unstable, emotionally volatile, and increasingly resentful. When questioned, David was defensive. His alibi was weak. His story shifted under pressure. Then there was Michael Turner, Emily's ex-husband. Their divorce had been labeled amicable. But investigators quickly learned that was a polite lie. Infidelity, financial disputes, lingering bitterness. Michael had returned to town recently and had been seen meeting Emily multiple times. Too many people, too many secrets. As detectives reconstructed the past, the image of a perfect marriage collapsed. John worked obsessively. Emily felt neglected. She spent heavily. Debt mounted quietly. Just months before his death, John had taken out a large life insurance policy and transferred major assets into Emily's name. At the same time, Emily was growing closer to David. Too close. Their relationship wasn't just inappropriate. It was volatile, confessional, emotional, dangerous. Emily leaned on David when her marriage felt suffocating. David leaned on Emily when his resentment toward John boiled over. Then came the bartender's call. Emily and David had been seen together the night John died. Their conversation wasn't casual. It was intense, private, charged. When confronted, Emily's composure finally cracked. She admitted meeting David, but denied planning anything violent. David denied everything outright, even as the story unraveled further. The case took a dark turn when detectives uncovered text messages between Emily and Michael. Messages that didn't sound innocent. One stood out above the rest. "We need to act tonight. John can't find out." Phone records revealed constant communication between Emily, David, and Michael in the days leading up to murder. On the night John died, all three were in contact. Then came the money, a large transfer, moved quietly offshore days before John's death. Planning, preparation, escape. When confronted with the evidence, Emily finally broke. She didn't confess outright. Not at first. She said she wanted out. Said John was controlling, suffocating. Said she felt trapped. David eventually admitted they had planned a confrontation. Michael admitted he was supposed to help afterward. And then, finally, the truth spilled out. The confrontation had turned violent. Tempers flared. Control was lost. John didn't walk away from that room. What followed was panic, desperation, a rushed attempt to clean up a life that had spiraled beyond repair. At trial, the community watched in disbelief. Emily cried. David blamed fear. Michael claimed loyalty. But the evidence told a colder story. The jury didn't see victims of circumstance. They saw choices. Emily and David were convicted of second-degree murder. Michael was convicted as an accessory after the fact. Sentences were handed down. Lives were dismantled. And the house on that quiet suburban street became a symbol, not a success, but how easily desire, resentment, and secrecy can rot a life from the inside out. John Harrison was respected. Emily Harrison was admired. David Harrison was pitted. Michael Turner was forgotten. But in the end, none of that mattered. Because when the lies collapsed, the truth was brutal, and it cost a man his life.